Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again with you. I'm Mike Carroll, the PennDOT Secretary, and we're here today to talk about Real ID and to answer some of your questions. We are exactly 2 weeks away from the start of federal Real ID enforcement. Starting May 7th, if you don't have a Real ID driver's license or ID card or a passport, you won't be able to board a domestic flight. PennDOT is issuing tens of thousands of Real IDs every day, every week to Pennsylvanians. Getting a Real ID is optional, but if you want to continue using your driver's license or ID card to fly domestically, you'll need a Real ID after May the 7th. So especially if you have flights booked for after May 7th and you don't have a Real ID or passport, you need to gather your documents and come visit us at one of our driver's license centers. You can find out exactly what you need at pa.gov/RealID. Our PennDOT team works really hard to serve customers quickly and efficiently, but we're seeing huge increases in volumes at our driver's license centers as we get closer and closer to May the 7th. Real IDs have been available in Pennsylvania for over 6 years, and they will still be available after May the 7th. So if you don't have immediate travel plans or you already have a valid passport, maybe hold off for a few months until the rush dies down. Now, I know that there are a few questions that have been submitted in advance, and I'm happy to answer those questions.
Thank you. The first question is, if someone's Social Security card has been lost, what other documents can they bring that would show a Social Security card? What other things would be acceptable?
So they need to bring a document that shows the full Social Security number. A W-2 would be an example that may have that. Sometimes pay stubs have the full Social Security number, but often it's just the final 4 digits. So it would have to show the full Social Security number. Other tax documents that may have the full Social Security number, for example, a 1099 for those that are familiar with that form, but generally a tax document that shows the full Social Security number.
Thanks. Why do some states have 100% or close to 100% of their customers having Real ID, and in Pennsylvania, we only have around 27%?
Well, some states, the law in those states was mandatory Real ID. So in certain states, every single driver was compelled by virtue of that state's law to get the Real ID. In Pennsylvania, the General Assembly years ago made it optional for Pennsylvanians so that they didn't have to get the Real ID if they didn't want to. So human nature, of course, a lot of Pennsylvanians have waited till the last minute that want to get the Real ID, but we don't have 100% compliance because our state law is not the same as other states, for example, Georgia.
Thanks. If you don't have a Real ID, does that mean that if you're picked to serve on a federal grand jury or on a federal jury trial, you would be eliminated from serving?
No, you're going to get into a federal courthouse whether you have a Real ID or not if you're selected for jury duty of any sort.
What other reasons would a person have to enter a federal building?
Well, I mean, a post office is a federal building, and there are, life circumstances change that result in all sorts of reasons to go to federal buildings. So the smart thing to do is get the Real ID for being able to do aviation, to flights domestically, and to go to a federal courthouse.
Can you still fly with a passport after May 7th?
Yes, of course. A valid passport is the document that would be in lieu of a Real ID to get onto a commercial flight. And of course, you need a passport for international flight.
Thank you. And can you confirm that a person would not have to have a Real ID in order to vote?
You do not need a Real ID to be able to vote.
Thank you. If someone's had a name change, are there additional documents that they would need to bring to show that?
There are. Whenever a name changes, there's the document that would support that name change. For example, a marriage certificate. The PennDOT website is the smart first step so that you could have a full understanding of what documents you need to bring to the driver's license center to get the Real ID. But suffice to say, every time there's a name change during the course of your life, the supporting document that highlights that name change is the key piece to the puzzle.
Thank you. And to clarify, you don't need to have a Real ID in order to drive, to vote, or to visit the post office and access federal benefits, correct?
No, you do not. A regular driver's license, of course, is the document we need to drive. The instances you just cited do not demand a real ID.
Thank you. And that's actually all of our submitted questions for this week. We'll be back next week.
Thanks so much. Get out there and get that real ID if you haven't already.